It's completely out of balance. So my name is Martin Bornman, and I've been working for an inspirational organization called African Conservation Experience, ACE for short, for the past 25 years. African people have lived in amongst African animals since the dawn of time. So they were interacting on a very normal basis, and yes, of course there was conflict, but research shows that the conflict was relatively low, and no one group really got an upper hand on each other. There was as close as we can think as to a bit of a symbiotic relationship. Though people that come into national parks think that by seeing the animals they're seeing what Africa used to look like, they're not. They're seeing a dramatically changed view of Africa because they don't see any villages. They don't see any smoke rising from the chimneys. They don't see community members moving in between and through these areas, which is how it would have been.
Looking at the whole, the environment around us, understanding of what us as humans are impacting on the mind, that's kind of the reason why we're here. So understanding, yes, there are mines over here, there's a fence line, there's a river. What does all of this have to do with animals, and why do these animals come all the way up to this fence line? Are they not scared of these cars? Why do they want to cross this road? There's a lot to unpack.
From this concept of God being a man and giving humans the complete right to use the earth as they see fit, as opposed to seeing animals as having equal rights. Before that, we had religions that really honored and focused on the earth, which was seen very much as effeminate. And many of the people in society that had power and that were very important in religious ceremonies and from a religious point of view were women. That is swung around, and it's become very much a male dominated and a masculine environment. If we did go back, and we can go back, and it's already beginning to happen in some places, I think that we will be able to restore the environment. It's not too late. And I think that it would also help us deal with many of the problems that we have in the world today. It sounds simplistic, but I think that it is real, and there's a lot of research on the difference that you have in an area just by planting more trees.
I didn't know it was a squirrel when I stopped, but I heard something that felt and sounded out of place. And that's where you stop and you listen. The majority of the time your gut is right. So hopefully by the end of this 10 days with us, you guys will start doing the same. Blocking out everything around you, everything back at home, be it now your own voices in your head or footsteps.
Noises, smells, it reminded me a lot of home, so smells and colors and animals and movement also, because we learned that we can identify animals around us not only by sound but also by movement, because they're really good at camouflage. So look out for movement. But yeah, be present and enjoy this. I'm really happy.
How are you feeling, Sylvie?
I honestly can't even describe how I'm feeling. I feel like it's so special that we're here, and like we look on the ground and there's the tracks of an elephant, which is insane, and we're just in the middle of nowhere, and like everyone is around here, and it's so beautiful right now.
Personally, I think it happened, the moment in time happened really with the Roman Empire. When they overthrew Britain, they went into these areas and they burnt these groves down. They literally burnt the trees down to root out the religion. They also were the first people that began to have a genuine impact on wildlife populations of Africa, because they built these, what they called circuses, which were both horrific for humans because they had humans fighting humans, but of course a huge part of that entertainment was fighting animals and having animals fight each other. So they were able to develop the technology for the first time to go into Africa and catch animals like lions and leopard and other places. They caught bears, they caught giraffe from Africa as well, and brought all these animals together, and we can look back and realize that the first removal of some of the iconic African species like lions was triggered by this activity because it was on a large scale. So I believe that this was the point that we saw change for the first time. So you have buffer areas where it becomes less animals and more people. It sort of gradiates out. Imagine going from white to grey. Okay. But in most of Africa now, and in all of Southern Africa, like South Africa, there is no longer any buffer area at all. And the truth is, in places like Kenya, where we do still have these buffer areas, we're actually trying to put fences up as fast as we can. Not to keep the animals in, but to keep people out. The one thing about us as humans, once we move in somewhere, you can never get us out. In the whole of Africa now, we only have about 20,000 lions left. There were more people in the airport on Sunday when you arrived than wild lions left in the whole of Africa, this almost endless expanse of land. More sobering is the fact that about 50% of those lions are actually safe. There's surprising amount of nature even in cities. There's trees, there's parks, thousands of birds that live there. There's possibly millions of trees, and it's the same for most people. Even if you live in a city, most people have access to the countryside, to nature of some kind, the ocean. So I think you've got to go into it. People are beginning to really focus on the benefit of getting into nature. You can also, I think one of the best ways, especially if you've got children, is to grow crops so that they see from the seed the plant growing, then they harvest, they eat it. There's that direct connection and understanding between what you're growing and what you're eating. And I think that in itself is part of nature. It also takes pressure off nature, because growing food is one of the best things that you can do environmentally. And it can bring you into connection with nature in quite a profound way. I'm a lot more interested in also realize how animals and people interact, and can interact on a really meaningful level. I'm not talking about taming animals, but I'm talking about the fact that it's about seeing yourself as part of nature. So I feel a much greater sense of connectedness and much more emotionally connected to animals than what I did before. That I feel is probably one of the major changes that I've seen over time. And yes, I've also been driven to really question and look at my own practices and how they might be improved so as to have less impact on the environment, which has led to choices like becoming a vegan.
We don't know how many people will get to watch this documentary, hopefully a lot, but considering you have the chance of sending a message, saying something what is one thing people should be aware of, something everyone should know?
That the wild places and the animals that live there across our globe, doesn't matter whether it's Antarctica, the Amazon or Africa, they are your true heritage. They are what belong to us, and you have a right to say what's going to happen to these animals, and you should in your lifetime try and go to places like Africa so that you can experience the heritage that belongs to all humans regardless of your nationality or the country you live in. It's about seeing yourself as part of nature.